We are going to look today as laws of pre-stress. Before entering the types and classification, one should know about the nature of laws of pre-stress. Let's begin. The initial pre-stress in concrete undergoes a gradual reduction with time from the stage of transfer of stress due to various causes. This is generally referred to as a laws of pre-stress. Let's discuss in detail. In pre-stress concrete applications, the most important variable is the pre-stressing force. In the early days, it observed that the pre-stressing force does not stay constant and it reduces with time. Even during the pre-stressing of tendons and the transfer of pre-stress to the concrete member, there is a drop of pre-stressing force from the recorded value. The various reduction of pre-stressing force are termed as losses of pre-stress. Next one is different types of losses. Losses are broadly classified into two groups. First one is short term and another one is long term. Short term is also called as immediate loss, whereas long term is also called as time dependent. Short term is also called as immediate or time independent. Long term is time dependent one. The immediate losses occur during pre-stressing of tendons and the transfer of pre-stress to the concrete member. The time-dependent losses are occur during the service life of the pre-stressed member. The losses due to elastic shortening of members, friction, and slip of anchorage are comes under immediate or short-term losses. The losses due to shrinkage, creep, relaxation of steel are comes under time-dependent losses. Next, a reasonably good estimate of the magnitude of loss of pre-stress is necessary from the point of view of design. The different types of losses are encountered in the pre-tensioning and post-tensioning systems are compiled in this table. First one is pre-tensioning and another one post-tensioning. In pre-tensioning system, these are the losses comes under. First one, elastic deformation of concrete and relaxation of stress in steel, shrinkage of concrete and creep of concrete. Whereas in post-tensioning system, no losses due to elastic deformation, only if the wires are stretched simultaneously or tensioned simultaneously. If the wires are successively tensioned, there will be a loss of pre-stress due to elastic deformation of concrete and relaxation of stress in steel, shrinkage, creep, friction, and finally end up with anchorage of slip. Actually, I forget to mention the temperature losses. In addition to the above, there may be a loss of pre-stress due to sudden changes in temperature, especially in steam curing of pre-tension units. The rise in temperature causes a partial transfer of pre-stress which may cause a large amount of creep if the concrete is not properly cured. If there is a possibility of change of temperature between the time of tensioning and transfer, the corresponding loss should be allowed for the design of pre-stressed concrete member. Let's discuss the losses in detail. First one is elastic shortening. Before that, one should know about what is transfer stage and what is service stage. In pre-stressed concrete member analysis of pre-stressed concrete member, it is carried out in two stages. First one is transfer and the second one is service stage. In transfer stage, the losses are elastic shortening, friction, slip at anchorage. These losses are comes under transfer stage. Losses at transfer stage, which is also called as a short term or time independent losses, where the losses are creep, relaxation of steel, shrinkage of concrete comes under losses at service stage, which are long term losses or time dependent losses. Now we discuss about the elastic shortening. Elastic shortening in pre-tension member. Tendons are stretched and concrete is poured in a mold. After 28 days, the tendons are cut and released. The tendons will try to contract. Through bond, concrete also contracts. Compressive stress induced in the concrete. This will result in the loss of tensile strain in steel, which may result in the loss of tensile stress in steel. Finally, compressive stress in concrete also decreases. This is what called the losses due to elastic shortening. Here, when the tendons are cut and the pre-stressing force is transferred to the member, the concrete undergoes immediate shortening due to the pre-stress. The tendons also shortens by the same amount. Finally, which leads to laws of pre-stress. It is mathematically expressed as laws of stress in steel, which is equal to m times the stress in concrete, which implies that stress in concrete implies that stress at level of tendon, at the level of tendons. Let's derive the expression. By Hooke's law, we know that stress is directly proportional to strain. Eliminate the proportionality constant, we introduced the Young's modulus into strain. We rewrite into this expression into the laws of stress, which is equal to Young's modulus into laws of strain. It can be rewritten as del sigma, which is equal to, del sigma, which is equal to Young's modulus into del strain. The elastic shortening losses is quantified by the drop in pre-stress in a tendon due to change in strain in the tendon. It is assumed that change in strain in tendon is equal to the strain in concrete at the level of tendon due to the pre-stressing force. This assumption is called as strain compactability between the concrete and steel. Therefore, according to the condition of strain compactability, strain in steel, which is equal to strain in concrete. Laws of strain in steel, which is equal to strain in concrete. We know the expression by Hooke's law. Laws in stress in steel, which is equal to strain in concrete, laws of concrete or laws of strain of concrete into Young's modulus of steel. We can rewrite the strain in concrete as stress in concrete divided by Young's modulus of concrete into Young's modulus of steel. This expression is come from the strain compactability condition. Strain in concrete, which is equal to stress in concrete divided by Young's modulus of concrete. Finally, laws of stress in steel, which is equal to m times the stress in concrete or sigma p. Here it denotes the stresses in concrete at the level of tendon. The losses happens at the level of tendon. So we can rewrite as laws of stress in steel, which is equal to m times the stress in concrete at the level of tendons. This is what the expression for elastic shortening, the losses due to elastic shortening. The losses of pre-stress due to elastic deformation of concrete depends on the modular ratio and the average stress in concrete at the level of steel or as stress in concrete at the level of tendon. Finally, if the initial stress in steel is known as the percentage of loss of stress in steel due to elastic deformation of concrete can be computed. This is what the expression for loss due to elastic deformation of concrete. Next one. Second one, loss due to shrinkage of concrete. First we have to know what is shrinkage. Shrinkage is nothing but change in volume. The shrinkage of concrete in pre-stressed member results in shortening of tensioned wires and hence contributes to the loss of stresses. Shrinkage of concrete is defined as the contraction due to loss of moisture. Due to the shrinkage of concrete, the pre-stress in tendon is reduced with time. And then the common factors which affecting the shrinkage are type of cement and aggregate and method of curing. The primary cause of dry shrinkage is the progressive loss of water from the concrete. The rate of shrinkage is higher at the surface of the members in primary shrinkage, whereas in differential shrinkage between the interior and surface of large members may result in strain gradients leading to surface cracking. Hence, proper curing is essential to prevent the shrinkage cracks in pre-stress members. In case of pre-tension member, moist curing is recommended in order to prevent the shrinkage until the time of transfer. Consequently, the total residual shrinkage strain will be larger in pre-tension members after the transfer of pre-stress in comparison with post-tension members, where a portion of shrinkage will have been already takes place by the time of transfer of pre-stress. This aspect can be considered in the recommendation of made by IS code 1343 for the loss of pre-stress due to shrinkage of concrete, which can be listed as different formulas for pre-tension and post-tension members. Let's discuss. For pre-tension member, the losses are more when compared to post-tension member. The loss due to shrinkage are more compared to post-tension member. Total residual shrinkage strain having the value as 300 into 10 power 6. This is what the total residual strain in pre-tension member. Whereas post-tension member, the total residual shrinkage strain, which is equal to 200 into 10 power minus 6 divided by log base 10 T plus 2. Here T defined as the age of concrete and transfer in days. This formula for post-tensioning member. The losses are more in pre-tension member whereas compared to post-tension member due to shrinkage of concrete. And the formula, that expression for loss due to shrinkage of concrete is that loss of stress due to shrinkage del sigma shrinkage, which is equal to total residual strain into Young's modulus. Total residual strain into Young's modulus of steel. Total residual strain into Young's modulus of steel. This is what the expression for loss due to shrinkage of concrete. Third one, loss due to creep of concrete. This losses comes under service stage and it is one of the time dependent and long term losses. Let's discuss what is creep. Creep is nothing but increase in strain for a constant stress due to the long term reduction in Young's modulus. That's what called creep of concrete, which is also defined as the increase in deformation with a time under constant load. Due to creep of concrete, the pre-stress in tendons reduced with time. The strain due to creep vary with magnitude of stress and it is one of the time dependent phenomena. As I told already that creep of concrete results in loss in steel stresses. Loss of stress due to creep can be calculated by the following methods. First one is ultimate creep strain method and another one is creep coefficient method. Let's derive the expressions for following methods. First one, creep coefficient method. By Hooke's law, stress is directly proportional to strain. Here the stress is nothing but creep stress. Loss of stress due to creep, which is equal to creep strain into Young's modulus of steel. This is what the expression derived by Hooke's law. And then we have to know that a creep strain is always greater than normal elastic strain. From that, creep strain, which is equal to creep coefficient, that's what called theta, multiplied by elastic strain. From this, stress due to loss of creep, which is equal to creep strain is denoted as theta into normal strain, elastic strain into Young's modulus of steel. From this, theta multiplied by stress at concrete divided by Young's modulus of concrete multiplied by Young's modulus of steel. From this expression, we rewrite the stress in concrete due to creep, which is equal to creep coefficient multiplied by m times the stress in concrete. Here the m denotes the modular ratio and here the stress in concrete denotes the at the level of tendons. Finally, we rewrite this expression as stress in concrete due to creep, which is known as a creep stress, which is equal to theta into m times the stress at the level of tendon. This is what the expression derived from creep coefficient method. And the next one, ultimate creep strain method. Sorry, I forgot to mention the values for creep coefficient. Theta is nothing but creep coefficient, which is equal to 2.2 for 7 days and 1.6 for 28 days and 1.1 for 1 year. Age of the concrete increases, creep coefficient value constantly decreases. Initially, at the 7 days of curing, the creep coefficient value is 2.2. At 28 days, 1.6, and at the end of 1 year, the value varies to 1.1. Kindly note these values. It is one of the important questions in PSC exams and also in normal PSU exams. Kindly note these values. And this is what the expression for creep coefficient method. Loss of stress due to creep, which is equal to creep coefficient into m times of loss of stress at the level of tendon. Kindly note it down all these formulas and values for your future reference. Next one, ultimate creep strain method. We know the formula derived by Hooke's law, which is nothing but stress due to creep, which is equal to loss of stress due to creep, which is equal to strain in creep multiplied by Young's modulus of steel. We replace the normal creep as creep due to strain as sustained creep strain per unit stress. The expression is sigma cc into sigma p. Sigma p is nothing but stress at the level of tendon. Finally, the expression for ultimate creep stress method is this is what the expression which we derived in ultimate creep strain method. Loss of stress due to creep, which is equal to ultimate creep strain for a sustained unit stress multiplied by modulus of elasticity of steel multiplied by compressive stress in a concrete at the level of tendon. Use this expression to calculate the loss of stress due to creep by ultimate creep strain method. Next one. Fourth one, relaxation of stress in steel. The main reason for relaxation of steel is nothing but overstretching of tendons. Relaxation is assumed to mean the loss of stress in steel under nearly a constant strain at constant temperature. It is similar to creep of concrete. Loss due to relaxation varies widely for different steels and steel manufacturers based on test data. This loss is generally of the order 2 to 8% of initial stress. Decrease in stress for a constant strain is nothing but relaxation of steel. This loss can be avoided by overstretching of tendons. As per IS 1343 recommends that to avoid loss due to relaxation, the initial stress in tendons should not be more than 50% of its ultimate strength of tendons. In order to avoid the relaxation of steel, we should maintain the initial stresses 50% of its ultimate strength. Let's discuss in detail. Most of the codes provide for the loss of stress due to relaxation of steel as a percentage of initial stress in steel. IS recommended a value varying from 0 to 90 Newton per mm square. For stress in wires varying from 0.5 ultimate strength to the 0.8 FPU is nothing but ultimate strength of tendons. Let's discuss. Then 50% of its ultimate strength, there is no loss due to relaxation of steel. And then when 60% of ultimate strength of tendon, the loss due to relaxation of steel is nothing but 35 Newton per mm square. Then 70% of ultimate strength, the loss due to relaxation of steel is 70 Newton per mm square. Finally, 80% of FPU, we get 90 Newton per mm square as a loss of stress due to relaxation of steel. So that we have to maintain the initial stress should not be more than 50% of its ultimate strength in order to avoid the loss due to relaxation of steel. Mainly, the reason behind the relaxation of steel is nothing but overstretching of tendons. As per the guidelines of IS 1343, initial stress in tendons in any case shall not be more than 80% of ultimate strength. Next one. Friction loss. Friction is nothing but resistance to stretching of tendons. Nothing but resistance to stretching of tendons. It is mainly occurring post-tensioning system because as the hardened concrete may offers a friction against the stretching of tendons. A portion of applied stress will be lost to overcome the friction. In case of pre-tensioning, no concrete surrounds the tendons when it is stretched. Therefore, no friction development takes place in pre-tensioning system. Hence, there will be no loss of stress due to friction in pre-tensioning system. Remaining stresses at any section after loss due to friction is nothing but Px, which is equal to P naught into e power minus mu times of alpha plus Kx. Here P naught is nothing but initial pre-stress at jacking end. Px is nothing but stress at x level after loss. Mu is the coefficient of friction, alpha is the angle subtended by the tendon with horizontal, and K is a constant. Here the K value depends on the steel capacity. K is also called as a friction coefficient for wave effect. Values for friction coefficient for wave effect K varies from 0.15 for 100 meter under normal condition, 1.5 per 100 meter for thin walled ducts and where heavy vibrations are encountered and in other adverse conditions. Therefore, this is what the expression for friction loss. This is the remaining stress at any section after the loss due to friction. Px, which is equal to P naught into e power minus mu times of alpha plus K times of x. Next one, loss due to anchorage slip. This will mainly happen in post-tensioning system. Well, in most post-tensioning system, when the cable is tensioned and the jack is released to transfer the pre-stress to concrete, the friction wedges employed to grip the wires slip over a small distance before the wires are firmly housed between the wedges. If the wedges are not capable of holding the tendons in tension, anchorage slip will occur. Anchorage slip is nothing but axial compression. Due to the slip, tensile strain in tendons is reduced and leads to drop of stress in steel. This called as loss due to anchorage slip. This loss can be avoided by using proper wedges. And however, this method is satisfactory provided the overstress does not exceed prescribed limits of 80 to 85% of ultimate tensile strength of wire. Let's derive the expression for loss due to anchorage slip. Let us consider a strain is nothing but change in length by original length, or else stress by Young's modulus as per Hooke's law. From this, equate these two expression to get the loss due to slip at anchorage. Well, equate these two values, change in length by original length, which is equal to stress by Young's modulus of steel. Change in length which is equal to stress by Young's modulus of steel into L. Here, delta L represents the change in length due to slip, which is equal to stress at the time of slip divided by Young's modulus of steel into length. This is what the expression for anchorage of slip. Stress due to anchorage of slip, which is equal to loss of stress due to anchorage of slip, which is equal to delta L slip divided by original length multiplied by Young's modulus of steel. We rewrite the equation as like this. This is what the expression for loss of slip at anchorage level. Well, loss of stress at the level of anchorage, which is inversely proportional to the original span. Finally, we derive the expression for loss due to anchorage slip. This is what the expression which we derived for loss due to anchorage slip. Here, delta represents the slip of anchorage, which is denoted in mm. ES is nothing but modulus of elasticity in Newton per mm square. L is nothing but total span or length of the cable in mm. Percentage of loss is higher for shorter members than comparatively for longer members in post-tensioning system. Well, we analyzed all the losses in pre-stressing system. Now we discuss the total losses allowed for in the design purpose of pre-stressed member. What the total losses allowed for in the design of pre-stressed concrete members. It is in the normal practice in the design of pre-stressed concrete members to assume the total loss of stress as a percentage of initial stress and provided for this in the design computations. Since the loss of pre-stress depends on several factors such as properties of concrete, steel, method of curing, degree of pre-stress and method of pre-stressing, it is difficult to generalize the exact amount of total loss of pre-stress. However, some of the typical values of the total losses of stress that could be encountered under normal condition of work as recommended as for elastic shortening, percentage of loss of stress at pre-tensioning system as 4, for post-tensioning system as 1. And creep of concrete in pre-tensioning system as a 6%, whereas in post-tensioning 5%. Shrinkage is 7 and 6 in post-tensioning. Creep and concrete is nothing but 8% of loss of stress in pre-tensioning system and same amount of loss in post-tensioning system also. Finally, 25% of stress losses occur at pre-tensioning system. In post-tensioning, only 20% of loss of stress occur. In this recommendation, it is assumed that temporary overstressing is done to reduce the relaxation and to compensate the friction and anchorage losses. From this, we conclude that efficiency of post-tensioning system is 80% and efficiency of pre-tensioning system is 75%. Finally, post-tensioning system is more efficient than pre-tensioning system. Efficiency can be calculated by the formula F stress FP, effective stress in tendons after losses divided by FPI. FPI is nothing but stress in tendons at transfer. Stress in tendons at transfer. Effective stress in tendons after loss. This is what the efficiency. Efficiency is nothing but reduction factor for loss of pre-stress. Efficiency is generally taken as 0.75 for pre-tensioning system, pre-tensioning work, whereas 0.8 for post-tensioning work. Nothing but 75% and 80%. From this, we conclude that post-tensioning system is more efficient than pre-tensioning system. Well, in the next session, we discuss some of the problems related to loss of pre-stress. If you like my work, just hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe my channel, Civil Vision Tune Yourself. I hope this video will be very useful for you. Kindly share with your friends. Thank you. Bye-bye.